A bada bing, bada bam.
Welcome to this week's Baking a Mystery, Baking a Murder episode. Listen, this is part 2 of A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book to Queen Sarah J. Maas's Ator series. I'm going to link book 1 as well as part 1 of book 2 in the description. But again, this is more like a book club experience. So the experience is better if you've already read the book or if you're reading along with us. So I'm going to leave links for all of Sarah J. Maas's works in the description because I live for this woman. Do you know what a book hangover is? I don't think you know what a book hangover is.
I do. I heard enough from you.
Okay, a book hangover is basically when you get a little depresso espresso after you finish a book because you're like, wait, I feel like I'm friends with these characters. I feel like I should be in that world, not in this world. Why am I not at night court? And then you have like a week where you don't even want to read the next book. You don't even want to read a different book. You just want to be sad that this is not real life. This woman, Sarah J. Maas, never fails to put me in a book hangover every single freaking time. This woman has shattered my heart a million times by telling me about 500-year-old fairies. I never thought I'd be here. Yeah, I never really stop. It's crazy. Got me crying on the plane reading this. So part 1 of A Court of Mist and Fury, this is the recap. Feyre, our main character, is adjusting to becoming a high fae. Because she was a human before. You know the drill. This is like peak. This is the gateway. You fall in love with a creature, you become a vampire. That's what happens. And she's about to marry Tamlin, the High Lord of the Spring Court. But the guy is giving toxic masculinity vibes. He keeps questioning Feyre, like, are you sure you're powerful? Even though all 7 of the High Lords gave you a little bit of our power to bring you into immortality, how do you know you're more powerful than me? I'm the Spring Court Lord. And even if you are more powerful, you're just my wife. There are no such thing as high ladies, only high lords, and I'm the High Lord. She's got major PTSD from being held captive by the evil queen Amarantha and having to kill Faye to save all of Prythian and to save humans because Amarantha was like, I'm gonna go f*** up the mortal world. I'm gonna go in there and enslave all the humans. Stephanie Sue, target number 1. Yeah, but instead of helping her through it, Tamlin's just like, you go plan the wedding and be ready for me in bed at night because that's all I care about. You know what I mean? Like, and also never leave the house. Even though you're losing your mind. You lost half your body weight. You look like a ghost of a person. I don't care. It's not like you can die, right? You'll get better eventually. That's what immortality is. But remember how Feyre struck a deal with Rhysand? Well, now she's got to spend a month with him. No, I'm just kidding. She's going to spend a month with him. And she's forced to. But she starts learning about her powers with him. And instead of caging her up, he's like, be free, woman. And that's all women ever want, you know? Feminist Lord Daddy, stop it. So she ends up moving in with Rhysand in the Court of Night, which is the most beautiful court that she's ever seen in her life. And right now, they're all prepping for another war. So she has like 2 minutes apiece, okay? And there's another Fae kingdom called Hybern. The king of Hybern wants to use a magical cauldron, like the pots that witches be cooking in. He's going to use it to gain all the power, break the wall between the Fae and the mortal world, and enslave all of the humans. And they've got to stop him. But right now, Rhysand and Feyre just got back from seeing a bone carver in prison, and they were able to gather a few pieces of key information. The cauldron is being held already by the king of Hybern, who wants to bring back Jurian, an ancient old warrior, back to life. And this guy's I have a feeling he's going to be very important throughout the rest of the series because they keep bringing it up. I've never met this guy once. We've only seen his eyeball.
Yeah, so you want to bring back an old-time general.
So let's get into it. I'm going to drop you right into it. When Rhysand and Feyre get back, they fill the rest of their inner circle in, and Cassian is the Illyrian leader of the Night Court's armies, and Az is the Illyrian spy master. Then we have Amren, remember? We don't know what she is. We just know that she's a super powerful creature from another world that's trapped in a Fae body. That's all we know. And Mor is Rhys's cousin. And now the group's game plan is Amren is going to figure out where the 2 halves of the book are. So they kind of know half of it is in Summer Court, and the other half are being held in the mortal lands by the mortal queens.
What is the halves?
2 halves of one book. And this one book is the only thing that can hinder the power of the cauldron.
So they're trying to grab a book, and this book is going to kill the cauldron.
Yes, but the book has been split into two, and half of it is in Summer Court, and then half of it is with the mortal queens. But they can't just go in and snatch the book. Like, it's really complicated. Remember the complications?
Yeah, they have to give it to you or something?
Yes, so the mortal queens, they have to gift it to you voluntarily, willingly. And Summer Court, it's a blood spell. So only Tarquin, who is the High Lord of the Summer Court, can grab the book. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. It's a blood spell. Unless you are Tarquin, you're not getting the book.
Okay.
Yeah. So the ultimate game plan is, it's more of like a group death mission, but they're going to try and find the book and go to the cauldron, either take the cauldron back or use the two halves of the book to nullify the power of the cauldron. So while they're on that hunt, they're also looking for ways to stop Highburn and how to get into Highburn without being detected, which is going to take a long time. And Feyre's asking, like, how do we even find the book? You, Feyre. Rhysand is like, the bone carver mentioned that you are a tracker. Because you were made from all 7 of us, you have a kernel of all of our power. If one of us has hidden something somewhere and it's protected by our magic, the very magic that you now have access to, you could be able to track it. Could be able to track it? Like, that's no guarantee. That's not really, I don't really feel good about that.
Who's she tracking?
She's tracking the books.
Oh.
So Rhysand is basically saying, if we go to Summer Court, you should be able to track the book because you're so connected to the High Lord of Summer. Because you have his power.
Got it.
Yeah, but that's not a guarantee that I can actually track things. Well, we can test it. How? Feyre is looking around at everyone, and everyone looks grim. Even more. It's like, Rhysand, I don't think so. What is she talking about? Where are we tracking it? Az is the one who answers. To the Weaver. The test, Feyre, is to see if you can go into the Weaver's home and find the object that is mine. If you can do it, we can head to Summer Court. And she's like, I don't understand any of this. Who even is the Weaver? But more, everyone else looks annoyed. They're shaking their heads and they're saying, you're honestly out of your mind, Rhysand. The Weaver? And Feyre's losing her... Wait, everyone, stop. Who is the Weaver? Az speaks. A wicked little thing she is. Rhysand, we can find other ways to test if she can track. This is the only way. It's your choice, Feyre. Feyre agrees, and she knocks out that night, okay? Look, she's been going through the ringer, so she's snoring it up at night. The door slams open the next morning. It's Rhysand. Time is of the essence. Time to go. He starts helping her get dressed, and there's like this sexual tension. He's like helping her put on this like garter thing on her thigh, and he's kneeling and like having her step into it like you would step into a pair of pants, but you like hang knives in there. It's like for warrior princesses. We love a feminist king, and it's so hot. Do you know what I mean? Hey. Anyway, so he's telling her no bows and arrows today. Why? That's what I'm the best with. The Weaver will not notice things she already has in her house. A knife, she must use knives for eating. But things that have never been in her home before, she will sense them. What about me? Can she sense me? Do not make a single sound. Don't touch anything except for the single object that she's taken from me. If the bone carver was telling the truth, you and the object will have the same imprint. So you will be one of the same. She will not notice you unless you touch something else. So the Weaver is blind, which has only heightened her other senses, and you have to be quick. And if she notices me, I guess we'll all learn just how skilled you are. So Rhysand winnows them into the woods, and
I just don't know why they always do this.
What?
Just tell me what it is. Tell me what's up. Give me a game plan. Just give me all the detail instead of you will learn. You're gonna find out.
Yes.
Like, what kind of logic is this?
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I want to know the floor plan of the house.
Imagine like every day I talk, Stephanie, you're gonna learn today.
Listen, it's like so hot in this book, but imagine how frustrating it would be on a daily basis if you wake up and you're like, what's for dinner, babe? And they're like, you'll find out. If we're skilled enough, you'll find out.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
if you're
what?
hungry enough, you'll like it.
So they winnow into the woods near the Weaver, and even the woods don't feel safe. It feels like the trees have eyes and the trees are watching them, debating whether or not to snatch them, grab them at any given moment. Where the hell is this place? The woods that divide the north and south of Prynthian. We're near the mountain. Under the mountain. This is where Feyre was held in the first book, by Amarantha. So this is technically the most sacred land of all of Prynthian, but no High Lord governs it, which means the Weaver lives by nobody's rules, nobody's laws. The Weaver is at the top of the food chain in the woods. Why didn't Amarantha just take them out? All the creatures in here? Like the Weaver? I tried to get her to mess with the creatures in the woods, but even she is no fool. So Amarantha messing with them would have been a death wish for her, but for me, you're going to use it as a test? That's very kind of you. So they walk together into the woods till a little clearing is in front of them. And sitting on this treeless patch of grass is this small white cottage. And it looks like a house straight out of The Hobbit. There's little stepping stones up to it. It's got the cute little windows, a chimney that doesn't even have smoke coming out. But it looks really quaint. It looks like a human would live there. Not some terrifying fae creature that's like Amarantha would shit her pants in front of. But it's also deadly silent. No noise, no sound, not even smoke from the chimney. It feels like one of those traps. You're stranded in the woods, you finally come across a cottage, you decide whoever lives there must be a nice person, but instead you stumble upon the Weaver, whatever or whoever she is, and she's gonna kill you. Rhysand doesn't talk. He just nods his head toward the cottage, and he bows dramatically. Feyre rolls her eyes and goes through the rules over and over in her mind as she's slowly inching towards the cottage without making any noises. Don't make a single sound. Find the object. Get the hell out of here. That should be simple enough, right? So Feyre turns around to see where Rhysand was standing, and he's now gone. He's dipped out of there. And she hates herself because she's thinking, why didn't I just ask? Why didn't I just ask him, hey, if the Weaver is literally like hand to my neck, gonna me right now, would you like come in and save me? She forgot to ask, so she has no idea. Feyre starts walking closer and closer to the cabin. The door is open, just a tiny little crack. And she hears the sweetest, softest voice. There were two sisters. They went playing to see their father's ships come sailing. And when they came onto the sea brim, the elder did push the younger in. Feyre realizes she's holding her breath. Pushes in the door. No squeak, no noise. She peeks half her face in, and the whole cottage, floor to ceiling, is crammed with stolen goods. The Weaver's got sticky little fingers. The Weaver is the ultimate thief and the ultimate hoarder. All the High Lord's precious items, high phase pottery, crystals, jewels, there are rubies hanging from the ceiling, and next to it, dead birds strung up. It doesn't seem like she only cares about expensive stuff. She's stealing everything. She's hoarding everything. Nothing is organized. Nothing is in good condition. Whoever the Weaver was, she's unhinged. Feyre pushes open the door further, steps in, holding her breath, and there she was, the Weaver, in front of this giant spinning wheel, weaving fabric. Her back is to the door, and just from her back, Feyre notices, this Weaver is beautiful. She's wearing this gray-brown dress that gets to the floor. Her skin is snow white, as if she'd never seen the sun a day in her life. Her thick black hair is pinned straight and touches her butt. And she keeps singing. Feyre watches her silently, and the spinning wheel in front of her is not regular fabric. The thread was the result of the last person that tried to steal from the Weaver. She makes thread from humans. Or from Fae. The last person that had been standing right where Feyre was is now being threaded. But she can't think about that right now. So Feyre starts scanning the ceiling, all the shelves, all the books, all the teacups, random jewels, everything, dead animals, and she feels nothing. What is she supposed to feel? Something talking to her? Something pulling her? How is she supposed to track down the item in a hoarder's house? Maybe Rhysand doesn't even have anything here. For a split moment, she's thinking, what if this motherfucker set me up to die? How do I even really trust the guy? Because he saved me from another guy? That's the only reason I'm in here? Or maybe someone else had already taken his object. And then the light came. A small, barely there light that started shining towards a corner in the room. And she heard a fun little whisper in her head. "Have you come to take me home?" Feyre almost responds yes, but she doesn't because she can't make a noise. And that pull starts getting stronger and stronger, and she starts creeping towards the corner, towards the light. She's getting closer and closer to the bone carver because the corner is like near where the bone carver is, or no, not the bone carver, the weaver is. She's getting closer and closer. The weaver is still singing. Feyre goes up to the shelf and she sees what the light was emanating off of. A sapphire ring, but it's like the most beautiful sapphire she had ever laid her eyes on. It's the deepest blue that she had ever seen. I mean, it was entwined in bands of silver, gold, copper. Like, it was beautiful. I mean, just by looking at it, she knew it was Rhysand's. So she's like, okay, quick, let's grab the ring and let's freaking get out of here. Her hand is shaking and she reaches for the ring, picks it up. But before she turns around, every hair on the back of her neck stands up. The weaver had stopped singing. Feyre decides, okay, turn around, make a run for it. But as she's running, the front door slams shut, locks, and the weaver turns around and looks at Feyre. Her face looked like a 200-year-old grandmother. Her face was sagging, her skin was gray, her eyes, she didn't have eyes. They were just rotting black holes. Her lips were non-existent, and her face was so bony. It's like the skin and fat was melting off her bones but never fell off. It's just drooping, hanging there. "What are you? Why are you in my house?" Feyre's scanning the room for any other way out. She grabs a burning candle, throws it at the weaver's threads of dead Fae, and she starts banging on the windows, trying for a way out. And the weaver is screeching in pain, "My precious thread!" She starts putting out the fire and then lunging for Feyre all at once, and Feyre has got no choice but to try and climb the freaking chimney. It's a tight fit, but at least it's a way out. She starts using the uneven bricks, and she realizes it's all greased up in there because the weaver be cooking. The weaver be cooking, and that be human and Fae grease, like body fat.
Weaver cooks human?
Yeah.
What's going on
in
here?
the chimney. So she's getting stuck. It's greasy, and the weaver is screaming at her, reaching for her from underneath. She even fell for a second. If she slipped, she would be the weaver's next meal. I mean, she had no doubt, and the weaver would savor it. She's the type that would make her feel all the pain, like eat her limb by limb. "What little creature's going up my chimney? Did you think you could steal from me?" Feyre grabs a loose brick, chucks it at the weaver's face. Black blood starts spraying everywhere. Feyre starts hurling her body upwards. She needs to get out. She doesn't stop until she reaches the top, and she doesn't even go for the floor. So she reaches for a tree branch, and she just starts scaling trees through the woods. I don't know. Suddenly she's Edward Cullen. She's a spider monkey. She could hear the weaver behind her. "Where did you go? Where did you go?" Feyre does not look back. She keeps going from tree to tree to tree till she can't hear the weaver anymore, and then she bumps right into the Rhysand, who's lounging on a motherfucking tree. What the hell happened in there? You happened in there! You happened in there! Rhysand grabs her, winnows her back to the House of Wind in Valeris, and the inner circle are there, paused mid-conversation, now staring, mouth open, at Feyre, who's covered in human grease. Amren speaks up first. "You smell like barbecue."
Amren?
Amren, the creature, speaks up first. "You smell like barbecue. Did you kill her?" Rhysand, "No, but judging by the weaver's screams, I'm curious to know what Feyre did in there." Feyre tells them the story of the weaver somehow detecting her presence, and the only escape was up the freaking chimney. And Amren looks over at Rhysand. "And you were?" "Far enough so that she couldn't detect me. I could have used some help, High Lord." "It didn't seem like it. You survived, and you found." Feyre hands out the ring. "Did you make me go in there to test my abilities, to see if I would die or not, for this stupid ring? Now you know. You can hunt and track down the book, and you also know how to master the panic." Feyre's looking at him like he's absolutely lost his mind. She turns to Cassian in anger. "You offered to teach me to fight. If that offer still stands, I'm going to learn to fight." Cassian looks curious. "And next time, Rhysand, I don't want my only option to be to run or wait for someone to rescue me. For a freaking ring." "It was my mother's. How did you even lose it to begin with?" "I didn't. My mother gave it to me, then she took it back when I got older. and then gave it to the weaver for safekeeping. For what? Why would she give it to the weaver for safekeeping? And there was like this little spark in his eye. So I wouldn't waste it. What does that even mean?
Waste the ring?
Mm-hmm.
So the ring has some power, maybe?
Maybe. So Feyre is just shaking her head. I mean, this guy is obviously losing his marbles. Feyre almost died to get him something that his mom willingly gave over to the weaver to begin with.
But why didn't he just go get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. She just wanted to knock out and take a bath. So Rhysand flies her back to the family townhome in the heart of Valeris, and there's already a bath steaming waiting for her. Have you thought about other training for your other powers? What? If you're going to be the one to train me, we're going to end up killing each other. Try to get past my shields. What? I'm so tired tonight. Please, can we just do this another time? Don't you feel it? The power? It's vibrating under your skin. It's purring in your ear. Yeah, and so what? I said I'm tired. I guess I'm just surprised that Ianthe didn't cut you up to see what you look like on the inside. To see what real power looks like. Oh, Jesus. Ianthe again? What is your deal with her? Why do you hate her so much? Like, I don't even understand. Many of the high priestesses are everything that they're not supposed to be. Ianthe being one of them. Being one of the worst. What? If you can get past my mental shield, I'll show you what you want to know. Feyre rolls her eyes, but she steps closer to him, and she starts imagining breaking down his mental shield. For 50 years, while all of us were in that mountain, the high priestesses, they ran. All they wanted from the beginning was power, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ianthe was after power in the Spring Court. So what? They're all just evil little high priestesses? Some of them. The others are selfless, wise, but Ianthe is not one of them. Feyre tries to envision slamming down into his mental shield, and he lets out a chuckle. Too sloppy. I appreciate the effort, though. An effort can be rewarded. And just like that, Feyre sees the shield go down, and there it was, a small pocket of Rhysand's brain. It's like she's having a vision. She's seeing his memory. A small pocket of his mind that he had cornered off and let her into. There would be no discovering of other parts. It was just this one room. And in the middle of the room was a giant bed, and Ianthe laying on it, butt-ass naked.
Ooh la la.
Feyre feels a gut punch in her stomach when she realizes this is a memory. And Ianthe is beautiful. Okay, there's a lot in there about her perky little boobies. And Feyre felt her cheeks go red. I mean, is this jealousy? We don't know. And she immediately tries to leave the door, like through the door of the mental shield, but it slams shut and she's trapped and forced to watch. Ianthe is seducing Rhysand. She's like, you kept me waiting, High Lord. Get out. I've seen the way you look at me, High Lord. I can't do it. I'm sorry. She's all like, I've seen the way you look at me, High Lord. And her legs are basically split at this point, and she's just bearing it all, full out in the open. At this point, a fucking mosquito could fly in. Like, let's calm it down a little bit. I heard you're a fan of playing games. I'm a great playmate. Your allegiance lies in other courts. No, my allegiance lie in the future of all of Prythian. Can you imagine what a union between the two of us could do for the future? Think of our offspring. They could rule all of Prythian. Feyre could feel or hear or see Rhysand contemplating killing Ianthe, but instead he says, get out of my court. I don't think you understand how good I can make you feel. Or Feyre sees Ianthe walk over and reach right in between his legs, like she's trying to get a handful. But before she can make contact, her arm starts crunching, literally crunching, and she's screaming. Rhysand is snapping and shattering her whole arm without even putting in a slice of effort. Your hand will heal, but don't ever touch a single male in my court, or next time you do, you will not find yourself healing so well. Ianthe stood there, trapped in his power, literally, so he made it so that she can't run. And she's crying, tears of anger. You will regret this. Rhysand laughs and flung her out of his room, butt naked, and slammed the door shut. And Feyre was now kicked out of his mind. Rule number 1, don't go into someone's mind unless you hold the door open behind you. Or else it's as bad as them going into your mind. They could do whatever they want with you once you're inside theirs. But when was this? About 100 years ago? Feyre stumbled back. Oh my god, Lucien. So at Spring Court, Lucien always seemed so uncomfortable around Ianthe, and she was always asking about him, and Feyre wants to throw up. Rule number 2, be prepared. When in someone's mind, you're going to see things that you're not going to like. Feyre is still reeling from this memory when she looks up and Rhysand is gone.
Wait, what do you mean, Lucien? What's going on with Lucien?
Remember, Ianthe was the one helping her prep for the wedding, and she kept asking about Lucien.
Yeah.
And it just, like, now it's that dirty feeling of she's probably trying to seduce him when he doesn't want it. And he might feel forced because she's a high priestess, and most of the courts want good relations with high priestesses.
Oh, okay.
She had no idea how long she was in his mind for, but she just felt exhaustion, and she plunged into the warm bath, trying to get the idea of naked Ianthe out of her mind. And then the next morning, a few of the inner circle, they prepared to go to Feyre's home. Okay, I guess it's not her home, but it's now the mansion that her 2 sisters are living in, Elaine and Nesta, and this is where her dad lives. So they're gonna go to this house and ask if the 2 sisters are open for this being the neutral place where they meet with the mortal queens. It's a huge favor to get them involved in any way, but they have no choice. Either they get them involved now or save them from the bloodbath that's gonna be the war. Mor is watching Feyre get ready. Humans in Feyre are not so different, Feyre. In the Court of Nightmares, females are sold off to the highest bidder, whoever is the best ally for the family.
Court of Nightmare?
That's the real court of the Night Court. They call themselves the Court of Nightmares. Under the mountain, they have the Court of Nightmares.
Okay. Okay.
She says, I was born stronger than any of my siblings, even the male siblings, and they could smell it, the power. I started bleeding when I was 17 and I was sold off. Every single ruling family of every court flew to the Court of Nightmares, foaming at the mouth to breed me with their heirs. They saw my power, and they wanted it for themselves. They wanted it to breed me out of it over and over. And the worst part is, my parents were so disgustingly giddy. It didn't matter what I wanted. They could have had their pick of a powerful ally, and that's all they cared about. Feyre turned to look at Mor. The rest of the story can be saved for another day. I just came to say I don't think I'm going to be going to the mortal lands with you guys today. I don't think I can behave myself there. Feyre doesn't push it. So without Mor or Amren, it would just be Feyre, Rhysand, Cassian, and Az. And Feyre is looking at the 3 Illyrians and their big raven-style wings standing in front of her. And she walks over and says, I'll fly with Az. Rhysand and Cassian looking at her like she's being requested to be dragged around town butt naked. But Az, gracious as ever, just extends his hand out to her. Feyre couldn't do it, okay? After everything last night, being in Rhysand's head, she felt all the pain that he endured. And just that ice coldness that he handles everyone with, the gentleness that he used when he was like touching her thigh to put her in the...
Wait, what's going on? She's shy?
Yeah, she's shy. She doesn't want to fly with it.
This guy likes her. Chose her over everyone else.
No, she doesn't know that. But like, he's hot, okay?
Oh.
And she's gonna go meet with her sister, so she can't be distracted. She's got a game plan. There's a war going on. So by the time that Feyre is out of her thoughts, they land softly on this snowy clearing, because it's winter time, right in front of the family home, her human home. It had been a year since Feyre saw her sisters. She was immortal the last time she saw them, and they had no idea that she had turned Fae. They had no idea what happened under the mountain. It's like a stressful moment. Feyre approaches the door alone first. She knew that the 3 guys, they were standing somewhere behind her, watching her, making sure that she was safe with her own family. And Feyre saw the door open, and she saw Elaine first. Elaine was more beautiful than ever, soft, just so lovely, just like she remembered her. And Elaine's eyes immediately start pooling with tears, and she's staring at Feyre, mouth open, just in their front door. Elaine. And then behind her was Nesta, standing at the bottom step of the stairs, holding onto the staircase railing as if she had seen a ghost. The 4 of them were invited in, and this home is beautiful, but it just doesn't have the same feeling as Rhysand's family home. It feels less cozy, less homey. It's almost as if everything beautiful was for decoration and not to be used or touched. Elain and Nesta both knew from the get-go that Feyre was now Fae because she's different now. You can tell. Fae are taller. They're more slender. Their skin is undeniably clear, almost to the point of glowing. Their ears are pointed. I died before I was remade. And Feyre tells them the whole story of Under the Mountain and how she had no choice. This was her only way, and how much she thought about them, and how much she thought about what would Amarantha do if she had gotten her hands on her sisters. And then she asked her sisters, "Do you mind if the mortal queens come here? This can be our neutral territory." Nesta looked pissed. Feyre knew what she's asking of them. Even a suspected friendship, let alone a family member that's Fae, that's utter social outcast. You might even get, I don't know, stoned. They would never recover. Their lives as they know it in the mortal world would be over. They would be secluded, isolated in this beautiful home, and nobody would glance their way. Elain's fiance would leave her. They would have no friends. No one would do business with them. No sister would get married, bear children. It's that bad. Humans hate Fae. Even Elain still wore an iron bracelet because mortals think that that's the only thing that scares Fae. Obviously, it doesn't work. But somehow, Nesta and Elain agreed to letting the mortal queens meet up with them in their home. That's if the mortal queens even agreed to it in the first place. So as he's been trying to get away into their castle to steal the book, the mortal queens, or to at least figure out who's there, who has the book, but it has to be gifted to them. But not only that, the queens, they were given a lot of special treatment by Faes to show that everyone was aiming for peace. So there was a whole war like 500 years ago between Fae and human. Lots of humans were slaughtered. Lots of Fae actually fought on the human side. Eventually, there was a treaty that embedded that wall so Fae cannot cross unless you're like the high courts, right? And part of the treaty was the Fae protecting the queens. These are not the same queens from 500 years ago, but their castles are protected. Their mortal castles were built by Faes to make sure that Faes could not get in. It was a symbol of faith. It was a symbol of peace. So that night, they eat dinner together. Cassian and Nesta have a thing, like a violent thing from the get-go. Cassian thinks Nesta is a for putting Feyre through what she went through, like having to hunt in the woods, being out on her own. But he's also so intrigued by Nesta. She is a horrible person to everyone but Elain. Nesta will die for Elain in a heartbeat. And morally, Nesta seems like a upstanding person. So it's kind of hard to put his finger on who the hell is this girl. She also doesn't seem scared at all that the High Lord of the Night Court, arguably the most terrifying High Lord of all the courts, is sitting in her dining room. In fact, she's looking at their wings like they need to be washed. Yeah, she's like, God, the smell. Why does it smell like that? And Cassian is like, I like the challenge. She's hot. Yeah, there's going to be a whole thing with them later on, okay? Anyway, that night, the 4 of them are going to spend the night at Feyre's family home, the one that Tamlin basically paid for, so here we are. But to be fair, Feyre did save him and everyone else, so it's like the least he could do, you know? Anyway, Rhysand explained that Feyre and he would sleep in the same room. He's going to sleep on the floor. And Feyre is pissed. There's so many rooms in this house. She's like, what? Magic is different across the wall. Our senses might not work as well, and I'm taking no chances with you. So that night, Feyre lays in bed that Rhysand had warmed for her, not with his body, but with his magic. And Rhysand starts talking first. I didn't think I could do it, to sit at the table and be okay. I think it just hit me during dinner how you were so young, how your sisters did nothing to protect you.
Wow, he's a softie now.
I managed just fine. I'm grateful for them for letting us use their home, but it will be a while before I can look at them without wanting to scream. I think a part of me feels the same way, but I guess if I hadn't gone into those woods to hunt, you'd still be enslaved by Amarantha, and perhaps she would have killed us all mortals by now. Feyre falls asleep to that thought, and the next morning, Rhysand drags Feyre out into the woods, onto the cold snow, and he holds out a candle. Light it on fire. Throw water on it. Your pick. I don't know how to do any of that. Feyre tries, but she starts feeling like, you're watching me too closely. You're breathing down my neck. Maybe you should go and I can try a bit harder in private. Sure, practice all you want in privacy. Just give me a shout if you need anything. So completely alone, Feyre for the next hour tries to light the candle on fire, tries to douse it with water, tries to blow wind at it. Nothing is happening. Not even a single spark. I mean, how much fire does it take to light a freaking candle that size? Literally nothing. At this rate, she would be better off throwing the candle at the King of Hybern as a defense mechanism. Feyre crouches down, goes into her bag, and grabs some food that she had prepared. And there's a note in there and a pen that she never packed. The note reads, "Bored. Did you find a spark yet?" It's from Rhysand. Curious, she doesn't know how this note got in there. She grabs the pen and writes on the paper, "Don't you have more important things to do?" And the note vanishes and a new one appears. I'm watching Cassian try and fight Nesta over how they take their tea. I guess this is going to be my day now, making sure that these two don't kill each other. "Oh, poor baby High Lord, your life must be so difficult," Feyre writes.
So they're texting.
Yeah, they're texting. And Rhysand texts back, "Life is better when you're around. And look at how lovely your handwriting is." Feyre feels her cheeks go red and a faint little smile tugs on the corner of her lips. And she's so lost in her giddy little love that she doesn't realize that someone is walking up behind her, sneaking up on her, about to grab her mouth and yank her back. Feyre fights, but a voice whispers in her ear, and it sends a shiver down her back. "Stop, or I'll break your neck again." I gotta stop with these voices. They're never good.
What the hell? What is this?
It's the Ator, Amarantha's creature, her right-hand beast. Do you remember? Like the 20-foot silver creature?
Uh-huh.
The Ator was never killed. It snuck off in the chaos of when Amarantha was killed. And since then, everyone has been hunting it. And now it's here to take her. But right before they could disappear, the Ator starts screaming, and Feyre feels her body being thrown away from the Ator, landing face first in the snow, and Rhysand is there with his hands in his pocket, as if the Ator was something like a little ant. Not something that all of Prynthian feared, but a tiny little ant. "I was wondering where you'd been." The Ator had 2 spears in its wings that were attached to the trees behind it, holding this disgusting creature in place. And it hissed, "Whore. You forget that I quite enjoy torture." And he lifts his finger to get into her mind and melt it, but the Ator stopped screaming. Stop. "I was sent to her. I was sent to get her." "Why?" "It's an order. I don't question those. The King of Hybern wants her." "Why?" I don't know. "Army? Coming soon. Size? Endless. We have allies in each territory, all waiting for Hybern." And in that moment, Az arrives and starts walking around the Ator, studying what he's going to do to it. "If you ever try to take her again, I'll kill you. No questions asked." Az nods at Rhysand and walks up to the Ator, places his hand on it, and the two winnow away. Feyre's stumbling. Is Az going to kill it?" "No. We're going to be using the Ator to send a message that if Hybern wants a member of my court, they're going to have to try a little bit harder." Did you know that Hybern was sending someone for me?" "We were curious to see who would be the first to try and snatch you the first moment that you were alone." "So you planned this? So you planned me to train in the woods and be alone, and you used me as bait. You were looked after and safe even when you were alone. But you could have told me." Feyre is getting more and more pissed as she's thinking about it. She's like, "You could have just told me. You literally could have just first the bone carver, then the weaver, and now the Ator." And she starts walking up towards Rhysand and she slams her hand on his chest. And she's so pissed she wants to punch the daylights out of this guy. But he keeps winnowing and appearing in different parts of the woods in front of her, behind her, a tree away, just giggling, laughing at her while she's pissed. And he keeps saying, "Try harder." Feyre tries to pounce on him. Her hands are now, she's got her little claws out because she's a shapeshifter, remember, from Tamlin. But he's too fast. She's so laser focused that eventually she sees time fold, and she winnows for the first time ever right in front of Rhysand, and she sees him smile before she tackles him into the snow. But even after the anger is gone, the question is still there. Why would the King of Hybern want me? That's what I'm going to find out. They say goodbye to the sisters and they winnow back to the night court. And Rhysand figured out what Hybern wanted, and he lets Feyre back into his mind, or a little pocket of his mind. And she sees the Ators all chained up, bleeding silver blood. Az was doing the work, calmly asking the questions. Tell us how you tracked her. I received an order and word for where she was. I went as fast as I could. I didn't have time to ask questions and why. The Ator turns to Rhysand. Good luck trying to keep her. Do you think nobody knows that you took her from Tamlin? If you want to keep her, the King of Hybern could help you. If you scratch his back, he can scratch yours. Rhysand went into the Ator's mind looking for anything, rummaging through every little corner, not a single whisper of the book or the cauldron. The Ator knew nothing. This was an errant creature. Break its legs, shred its wings, and dump it off the coast of Hybern. See if it survives. So Feyre steps out of his mind, and she asks, did Tamlin do something? What does the Ator mean? Everyone knows that you took me from Tamlin. He closed off his borders. Spring Court is in total lockdown. You know how he gets. He might go to extreme lengths to protect what he thinks is his. Feyre thanks Rhysand for not keeping her in the dark about all of this, but she knew what she needed to do. So she sits down and writes a letter for Tamlin. If the whole world knew that she was now at Night Court, she would have to let him know that she wasn't a hostage here. She writes to him, I left by my own free will. I am safe. I am cared for. I am grateful for you, Tamlin, for everything, but don't come looking for me, and I will never be back at Spring Court.
She's breaking up with him.
Breaking up through a text message. She hands it to Rhysand to send to Tamlin, and that night, Amren unknowingly confirms to Feyre that she's making the right choice. Amren tells her about the real Court of Night, not the one that everyone thinks rules, the Court of Nightmares. No, the real court is the Court of Dreams. So it's Rhysand and his inner circle. Amren said she never had reason to join Rhysand, but she liked what he stood for. The court is founded on 3 things: to defend, to honor, and to cherish. And does the Court of Dreams also take the tithe?
The what?
The tax day.
Oh, tax day.
The Uncle Sam day, you know what I mean?
Of course not.
Of course not. Come on. He's Rhysand. There are taxes on city dwellers like every other city in Prynthian, but there is no annual tithe. Feyre frowns at the memory of the Spring Court tithe, where she saved the water wraith from death and got yelled at by Tamlin for it. So that night, the whole group, they go out to eat at a local restaurant, and this is like a dream. This is Velaris. Not even the Court of Nightmares knows that this place exists. It feels like home. Everyone there is happy. This is the real Night Court. And they all greet Rhysand like he's an old pal, not their High Lord. Some even poke fun at him with all love and respect, because they knew everything that he gave up to keep Velaris safe. It's just the 2 of them after dinner. And Rhysand says, this is my favorite view of the whole city. The water, the stars. My father would have to drag my sister and I kicking and screaming out of here. She loved it so much. Feyre wanted to ask, where's the sister? Because they're all dead. How they died, she didn't know, but she bit her tongue. You never married anyone. I never felt like I could share my life with anyone. And even if I had asked, I think they would have all said no. Really? I imagine they were all fighting each other to marry the High Lord of the Night Court. To marry me means a life with a target on your back. And if there are offspring, it's a life knowing that they too will be hunted from the moment that they're born. All my people know. Beyond our borders, the Night Court is hated. My people are not oblivious to that. Why are you hated so much? Why keep the truth hidden? It's a shame that nobody will see how good Velaris is and how much you sacrificed for these people. We allow the rest of Prynthian to fear the Court of Nightmares so that we can keep Velaris safe. Even the Court of Nightmares doesn't know of its existence. But to reveal Valeris would reveal a target, a soft spot. Feyre looked around and she kind of agreed. I mean, these people, these places, it was perfect the way that it was. So as Feyre walked with Rhysand through the city, she heard music. And this music is a very specific type of music. She's never heard it anywhere else. Not in Prynthian, not at Spring Court, not in the Mortal Lands. And it was played to her only a few times in the cell when she was trapped by Amarantha. And at that point, this music that she thought she was hallucinating was the only thing that kept her alive. And it was the music of Valeris.
So she's like...
She's like, the music! You sent music to my cell? Why would you do that for me? You were breaking, and I couldn't find another way to save you. And she's like, thank you. Thank you for everything you did. Stop it! Stop it! I'm giddy.
Oh my God.
I'm giddy. Listen, I'm reading this book, laying on my stomach, kicking my feet in the air. I'm kicking my feet in the air. I'm hee by myself. By myself, okay? So Rhysand grins, grabs Feyre, and they shoot up into the sky to fly amongst the stars. They're flirting! So good, okay? So also with Rhysand, Feyre wakes up with less nightmares. She no longer pukes up her dinner in the middle of the night, and she still has these horrible dreams of the Ator grabbing her and all these things happening, but she doesn't feel trapped anymore. The next morning, Cassian takes Feyre to the House of Wind to train her, and in hand-to-hand combat, which Feyre sucks ass, you know? Like, give her a knife, she's all right. Give her a bow and arrow, she's Katniss Everdeen. Her punches are like someone swatting away flies. Cassian's like, you're lucky you didn't fist fight the Ator. Az is in the back chuckling, so Az is in the back fighting Rhysand. They're like practicing. And Feyre rolls her eyes, all of them are shirtless, by the way, and they all have these like crazy hot tattoos. And so she asks about him, and Cassian is taking her punches. And he's saying, we get them when we become Illyrian warriors. They're for luck and glory. Feyre looks at her own tattoo. She used to hate it.
Why does she has a tattoo?
Remember, she was marked by Rhysand.
Ah, is it the same?
Yeah. And now
so
she's like, for
come
luck
on
and glory?
now.
Okay, fine. So while training, Cassian asks Feyre about the letter that she sent leaving Tamlin for the breakup text message, which maybe he's trying to get her to fight. Maybe he's trying to get her riled up or to talk about it like a friend. Maybe he thought he was helping. But while she's practicing punching him, all the emotions start taking over, and she realizes she did this all for Tamlin. She did this for him, for their love. She killed innocent Faye for him, and all he did was sit next to Amarantha on the throne and watch. I mean, sure, in the end, he tried to help, but not before he tried to fork her. The last moment when she was about to die, he tried to fork her instead of saving her. He tried, but she tried harder. And she killed innocent Faye for him, and she killed herself for him. And Feyre kept punching Cassian's fist, because he's got like the little punching things up. Mm-hmm. And tears are dripping down onto her shirt until she finally stops and she realizes all of them are staring at her. Rhysand is now by her side, and she breaks down, and for the first time ever, she says it out loud. I killed them. And she feels these emotions flooding in. And slowly, darkness starts swirling around her, like a dark mist. So thick that Cassian and Az, she can't see them. It's just around her and Rhysand. But it's not scary. It's almost calming and peaceful. And Rhysand tells her, you will feel that twinge of pain every day for the rest of your life. I felt that way every single day since my mother and sister were slaughtered. Even retribution did not take it away. You can either let this feeling kill you or learn to live with it. Feyre sobbed, and she looked up at him and said, I'm sorry about your family. I'm sorry I couldn't help more under the mountain, spare you from this pain. I have 2 nightmares. One is I'm Amarantha's whore, and so are all my friends. And the other is hearing your neck snap all over again.
Hearing your neck snap?
Remember, because when she was human, she died.
He said that's his next nightmare?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. You guys just met.
They didn't just meet, okay?
The dude's 500 years old. They just met.
The dude it's like, have you heard of love? Have you heard of love at first sight?
Dude, it's like you meeting someone for like 30 minutes to be like, dude, my biggest nightmare is you're dead. Like, what?
Honey, no. You don't know. You don't know anything about... Honey, tell me, what's your biggest nightmare?
So like, you're telling me right now they are like in love?
No.
They're not, but why they're talking like they're
Oh,
like,
they're not going to be, though. Yeah.
What do you mean they're not going to be? He said...
It's like a happy moment for them right now, but it's just about to go down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, Feyre didn't know how to respond, so instead she looked down at her hands. And that day, Rhysand would teach her that there are a few types of darkness. Darkness that scares, darkness that calms, and darkness that is peace. And he taught her how to summon the darkness, a soft, peaceful darkness. The next day, Cassian and Feyre are training again in front of the others, and Rhysand winnows back to the House of Wind in a full suit, 3-piece suit. So that's how he presents himself as the High Lord. He never shows his Illyrian side when he's the High Lord of Night. He doesn't show his wings. He just shows himself in a suit. Mm-hmm. Ready for a summer holiday? Summer court? They responded? We've been invited? Of course they did. We leave tomorrow. Feyre and Amren will join me. Cassian looks disappointed. I could be of use. Summer lords are hot-headed fools. You might need some extra protection. Cassian, considering the last time you visited, it ended... It was one building. And the foundation wasn't that good. Anyone could have wrecked it. I think so. I think anyone could have torn the building down. And considering the fact that all of Prynthian is terrified of our sweet Amren, and you are banned from all of eternity from entering the summer court, we think that it's a wiser choice for her to accompany us. But what if it's a trap? They took so long to respond. What if they're contacting outsiders, enemies, to ambush you? Good thing Amren will be there then, Cassian. Amren, there are many treasures in the summer court. The summer courts are known for being collectors, if you will. Amren looks excited.
Why?
Because she loves jewels. She's always loved jewels. She's kind of a vain girl. She'd be like, she's that girl. She likes dresses. She likes jewels. She likes to collect them all.
Really?
Yeah. Even though she'd be f***ing shit up. Cassian's annoyed. He walks off. Fine. Get it. Banned from summer court for all of eternity or whatever the f*** they said. But still, Feyre, it's one thing to have her here in the night court, but it's another thing to bring her to a completely different court and introduce her as a member of the night court. Rhysand glances at Cassian, looks like he's thinking over what he said, and then just walks off. Because that's what he does when he's heard enough. So to summer court they go. Rhysand is dressed in all black, a black suit accented with silver threads, no wings. His High Lord mask is on. Cunning, evil, ruthless. Feyre herself was dressed in night court colors, and Rhysand takes Feyre's hand and they winnow to the summer court. Which is exactly what you imagine. It's like Atlantis, a Greek palace on top of a mountain island overlooking turquoise blue waters. Everything is accented tastefully with pearls, colorful corals. Every surface is mother of pearl. There's seagulls flapping over. There's a sea breeze that's so warm, not a single cloud in the sky. And everyone is so sun-kissed and shades of just rich chocolatey brown, and everyone's wearing gold, greens, light blues, whites. Their dresses are so airy, like a summer long dress. Tarquin, the High Lord of the Summer Court, was awaiting them. Rich brown skin, white hair, turquoise blue eyes. Welcome to Adriata. Rhysand looks unimpressed as always. Amren, you've met, but not before your promotion. Amren, this is the High Lord of Summer. Tarquin nods at her. She doesn't even glance him over. She looks disinterested. She finally speaks. You're far better on the eyes than your cousin. He was such an eyesore. Condolences, of course, since he's dead. Feyre realized that all their masks were on. This is what the night court was to outsiders. Wicked. Cruel. And that's what she's being viewed as now, too. Tarquin, Feyre, Tarquin. Tarquin looks curious, fascinated. His eyes are scanning Feyre over, up and down. He doesn't even smile. He doesn't even try to hide it.
Wait, is this one that saved her?
No.
Didn't you say all 7 court has saved her?
Yes, he's one of them.
Oh,
but he's just so fascinated now that she's out and Faye, and she's with the Night Court.
Yeah. Okay.
She felt uncomfortable at Tarquin scanning her body, but she made sure to keep her face uninterested, bored even. And Rhysand says, her breasts are spectacular, aren't they? Delicious as ripe apples. Feyre almost scowled, almost said something, almost turned to him, but instead said, here I was thinking the High Lord of Night was fascinated by my mouth.
What?
Both of them turned back to Tarquin, the cool, unpredictable Night Court. That's what they were. And Tarquin contemplates what words he uses next. You both have a tale to tell, it seems. As like, what the fork is going on? Like, some shit obviously went down, okay? Many a tale. Why not get comfortable? Where are our rooms? Rhysand almost commands the space. Everyone is moving with him, okay? So the first night, Tarquin introduces them to Cressida, which is his cousin, also Princess of Adriata. She looked like she despised all of them, but she was somehow still attracted to Rhysand, so there's that. And Cressida's younger brother, Varian, was in charge of being Amren's consort, security dog, watchdog, whatever you want to call it, because Amren is literally feared in all of Prynthian, and if she's in your court, you're going to want someone to have eyes on her 24/7.
Because she's that powerful.
Yeah.
We don't know what she does.
She's actually from a different world, we later find out.
So, but everyone knows she's like super, super powerful.
Yeah.
Is she more powerful than Rhysand?
Yeah,
Really?
If she's in her true form, but right now she's trapped in a Fae body.
Okay, what is a form? What are we talking about?
She's not a Fae. She's like a creature.
Okay, there's
Like
so
a
many
really
creatures.
We don't even know. No, the book hasn't told us yet.
Oh.
We just know it's like even Rhysand would be scared.
Okay, I mean I'm imagining like
Like a little girl. But like she's actually really pretty in the Fae character, in the Fae body. She's like really pretty. She's got like a black-haired bob, pale skin, like looks like what you call it? Looks like one of those like girl bosses. Like it's always the contrast of the hair color, you know?
Yeah.
Like one of those.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Tarquin and Rhysand are chit-chatting. They're bored. Diplomatic, political chit-chats. They walk into the castle and I mean it's like summertime. There's mother of pearl tables that are showered in just the most beautiful summer fruits, grapes just hanging on the vines off of the tables. And Feyre turns to Tarquin. Such stunning lands. You must be proud, High Lord of Summer. And how about you? How do they compare to the lands you've seen thus far? Does he want to know about the Night Court? Everything in Prynthian is lovely compared to the mortal world. And being immortal is lovely? Feyre could feel everyone eyeing her, waiting for her to answer. So she did what Tarquin did to her. She stands there, looks him up and down, taking her time, before she responds coyly. You tell me. You are a pearl, Feyre. I knew the day that you threw that bloody bone at Amaranth's feet. You're special. I don't remember you being so handsome under the mountain, Tarquin, though I will admit I was a little preoccupied, but the sunlight and sea seems to suit you. Feyre could feel the Summer's Court's disdain. She knew what they were thinking. First Spring Court, then Night Court, and now she's flirting with the Summer Court. What is this girl's plan? Is this girl just like f***ing shit up? Is she out here just trying to gather all the courts? All 7 rings? Maybe they saw her the way Rhysand saw Ianthe. That night, the first meal that they share, Rhysand and Feyre talked about Hybern readying for war, and the Summer Court said that they heard whispers, they heard the rumors, but they never took it seriously. Rhysand warned them, war is imminent. Tarquin responds diplomatically. A war against Hybern we will fight. We have no interest in ever being enslaved ever again. But if you are here to ask for us to be allies in a different kind of war, Rhysand. Everyone hushes and glances over at Feyre. Feyre looks confused, so Cressida fills her in. High Lords have gone to war for far less. A war over such a unusual woman would not be unexpected. Feyre hadn't even thought about it, okay? But it was dumb. You know, Tamlin is powerful, but against Rhysand and against the Illyrian warriors, it would be slaughter. The Spring Court would be slaughtered.
That's what I've said. Like, when they took her, wouldn't that just be a war then? Like,
Exactly.
you can't just kidnap
But
or taking someone.
I guess it's like, would you really go up against one of the most powerful court?
Yeah, okay. Wow.
So Feyre says, please don't get excited, anyone. The High Lord of Spring has no plans to engage in war with the Night Court. So you're still in contact with Tamlin then? A calculated question. I know Tamlin, and I know that there will be no internal wars between the two courts, at least not over me or my decisions. What a relief to know that we're not harboring a stolen bride. The law of Prynthian, if anyone needs reminding at this table, is to return the bride to the rightful master. This is what would be expected of us, to keep trouble away from our doorstep of close from our southern ally, Spring Court. Amryn froze and zeroed in on Crescenda. Feyre interrupts. I left on my own free will, and no one is my master. Tarquin could feel the tension build, so he placed his hand on the table gently. Rhysand and his court are guests of the summer court. We will treat them as such. Tonight, there will be a party held at the bay for you guys. Feel free to roam the city as you wish for the rest of the day. And as for Cressida, my cousin has made a lot of sacrifices on behalf of her people. She has been a little on edge and a bit extra cautious of any more conflict.
So they have no idea that they're here for the book?
No.
Oh.
Rhysand speaks up. We all made sacrifices, and now you are free with your family because of the sacrifices that Feyre has made. If your princess sends word to Tamlin, or if any of your people try to bring Feyre to him, they will be forfeiting their lives in return. Do not threaten me in my own home, High Lord of Night. Oh, it's not a threat, Tarquin. It's a promise. Everyone glances over at Feyre to see her response, and she picks up her wine glass. To immortality. No wonder it never gets dull. And the mood lightens. Not really, but you know, it's like giving them a note.
Yeah. She's really quick blending in. Like, she knows exactly what to say, what to do. Like,
I know.
She's kind of got some nunchi.
She's got some nunchi, he said. She's got some nunchi. So they're led up to their rooms, and the bedroom, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so they've got these huge floor-to-ceiling gaping holes, not even sliding glass, it's just a hole. And these like Greek, think where the Greek gods would live. These white balconies with the pillars, and it overlooks the turquoise sea, and everything is gold detail. The bed is a giant clamshell. It's beautiful, but it's tastefully done. It's like a clamshell design. It's not a real clamshell, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a problem. They all gather in Feyre's room. They like summer court. So whatever they have to do to get the book, they need to do it without making enemies of them. And there's also that hint of jealousy. Rhysand says, do you like that Tarquin can't stop looking at you? I can't tell if it's because he wants you or because he knows that you have some of his power and he wants to see how much. Maybe it's both. Having a High Lord lusting after you is a dangerous game, Feyre. You have one task here. Do anything to accomplish it. Get that book and do not get caught.
She's gonna seduce him.
Feyre felt like fighting today. Anything? And if I f***ed him for it, what would you do? You say such atrocious things. You're free to do whatever you want with whomever you want. Feyre could tell he was lying, but neither one is backing down. So she's like, fine. And he's like, fine. Rhysand held her stare before tilting his head at the candle on the counter. Light it. Feyre closes her eyes, and the candle gets knocked off the table by a giant splash of water. It's like the ocean had come in and drenched the entire counter. Can you ever follow orders? It was strange. It's like being in summer court, her summer court powers were heightened to the max. Feyre held Rhysand's gaze and lifted all the water. The water went from being on the floor and falling apart one by one until they were singular beads of water suspended in the air, frozen in time like a chandelier. I suggest you don't show Tarquin this trick in the bedroom. And Feyre sent every single bead of water straight for Rhysand's face. Good work. Keep practicing. Will he go to war over me? She's talking about Tamlin. I don't know. I would go back. I wouldn't make you guys fight. I would go back if the day ever came. I am so tired of death and I don't want anyone else to die, at least not because of me. Do you want to go back? No, I would not. But I would.
Bro, it's just, they can break up here? Like, there's no a peaceful breakup? There's none of that?
Nope. And Rhysand says he locked you up. He knew that you were worth more than land, gold, or jewels, and he wanted you all to himself. And with that, he vanished. Over dinner, Feyre was trying to have genuine conversations with Tarquin. So they talked a lot about the family heirlooms, treasures of the summer court. The summer court loves any jewels. Anything sparkly, anything expensive, they like it. They like it. I want it, I like it, I bought it, okay? Feyre told Tarquin about how she had been the daughter of the prince of merchants before he lost it all, and how she was starving before she came to Prynthian. And he asked, would you spare the mortals if war came? For my sisters I would fight. But some of the humans, the ones that watched others starve, I would not mind their lives getting a little disrupted. Tarquin went on this whole speech, passionate about how he hated the classifications of lesser Fae and high Fae. He wanted to break social classes amongst the Fae. There would be no reason that lesser Fae would have less rights than wealthier Fae. He wanted them to feel free and have a voice in his court, but he confessed. Whenever he spoke of such things, everyone looked at him and told him, "You're still young, High Lord." They said his perception would change as he got older. Feyre scanned him for any lies or manipulation, but he was genuine. He was a good person. And he said, "What does that look mean? Why are you looking at me like that?" "It means, High Lord of Summer, I think it would be very easy to love you and call you a friend." I would not object. Feyre glances over at Rhysand, and Cressida is practically on his lap, and Rhysand didn't even glance at Feyre. He's smiling, tracing circles on the back of Cressida's hand while she's hee at him. Feyre hoped Rhysand would not bring her to his room because they were right next door to each other, and if she heard, she didn't even know what she was going to do, okay? Rhysand just looked so happy, flirting with Cressida. With Cressida, there were no talks of war. There were no talks of powers and the end of mortals. It's just pure seduction. And Feyre had to admit she kind of wanted that. And then the loneliness hit her. So she stood up, excused herself to get some fresh air. And thankfully, that night, there were no noises coming out of his bedroom. And she just laid in bed thinking about her friendship with Rhysand.
Friendship?
Yeah, and how she feels. She's like trying to calm herself down. She's like, so what if he f***s Cressida, okay? Mm-hmm. We're still friends.
Okay.
Yeah. The next morning, Feyre spends most of her day with Tarquin, who's showing her the most expensive, exquisite pieces and jewels. He's got these treasure troves. They're basically treasure rooms, which were all bound by blood spells. So only his hand and only he can open the door. And that's where, Feyre's shape-shifting could come in handy. Yeah.
What do you mean? He can change? She can turn into him?
Yes.
Really?
Because she has him inside of her as well. So she has his essence.
I see.
Tarquin even gifts her a family heirloom, this deep black diamond necklace, like a tennis necklace, but with black diamonds. And Tarquin tells her, "It'll suit you in the night court. Just take it." "Perhaps I'd rather stay here and help you revolutionize the world with classless systems of Fae." I was excited, Feyre, to learn that the Night Court wanted to visit us. I could use an ally in the north. And you have sway with Rhysand, and he's been notoriously difficult to work with, never telling a single person of his plans until they've been completed, and always doing whatever it takes to get what he wants. But you could be an emissary between the Summer Court and the Night Court. Everyone speaks of Rhysand, but I know what he did under the mountain. He saw into my cousin's mind in front of Amarantha. He saw that my cousin was planning to storm the place with guards on the outside. Summer Court was trying to come in, and I know that he saw it, but he spared them. It was mercy. He spared me. Sometimes I even wonder if Rhysand chose to be Amarantha's whore to spare all of us, to take up most of her time and attention. And I know I'm supposed to look at all of you like evil pets, you and Amran, that'll kill at his disposal. But I see kindness in you, in all of you. Would you allow me to ask you a question? Sure. Is it true that you left Spring Court because Tamlin locked you up in his home? Yes. Is it true that you were saved from confinement by the Night Court? Feyre nodded. Spring Court is my southern neighbor. We have ties with them. But unless asked, I will never mention that you were here.
So you're telling me Tamlin is like villain number 1 now? Number 2 now?
I think he's gonna not be villain number 2 anymore because we got the King of Hybern coming in. And then I know Autumn Court is really messed up. I think they come into play later.
Like, so Tamlin is that f***ed up? Like, is the man just a little controlling, or he's like a big evil dude, right?
It's pretty evil.
He's an evil dude.
Yeah, like that level of evil is like knowing someone has PTSD of something.
Yeah.
And then making them relive the PTSD.
All right.
Yeah. So Feyre bows her head to show gratitude. Any other treasure troves to show me? Tarquin laughs and said that he would show her around all day since all of his meeting schedules that day were a bore anyway. And she says, oh, what a reckless, wild High Lord. And they walk out of that room. You know, Feyre, I could easily fall in love with you as well. But easier to be your friend. And they went from room to room, and Feyre felt guilt and disappointment, no sign of the book, and she hated herself for using Tarquin. So that night, Rhysand and Feyre get into a heated argument in their room that literally just stems from jealousy. Feyre asked Rhysand if he slept with Cassandra. I say her name different every single time. And he said no. And he says, but you smiled at Tarquin. Oh my God, you're jealous. I heard what you said. How easy it would be to fall in love with him, and I know you meant it. So, I was jealous that I'm not a person that is easy to fall in love with.
But are they 5? What's going on?
Honey, stop! I love it.
Come on now.
And he says, Summer Court has always been neutral. I spared Tarquin's life because I heard he wanted to change his court. Level the playing field between Lesser and High Fae. I've been trying to do that for years. That is the only reason I spared him. And because he is the High Lord of a neutral court, he will never have to worry about someone walking away from him because of danger, because someone is threatening his wife or his children. So yes, I was jealous, because it will always be easy to love him. He will never know the pain of looking up at the night sky and wishing. This was the most vulnerable thing Rhysand had ever said to her, and she just kept thinking about the Court of Dreams. They are all paying a price. These are all people who are losing for a bigger picture. Feyre didn't know what to say, so she walked up to him and said, to the people who look at the stars and wish. And he gazed into her soul and said, to the stars who listen, and the dreams that are answered. Ah! Kicking my feet, twirling my hair, kicking my feet. Bruh. And after a few days, Feyre knew. She knew where the book was. It was risky, but she could see it now so clearly that she didn't know how she didn't see it all along. A tiny building near the water shore. During high tide, the building is in the water, okay? It's like half submerged. During high tide, completely gone. Underwater, you never see it. But during low tide, early in the morning, there's a little bit showing of the building. It's there. That's where it would be. It's like a tiny circular building. It looks weathered. Feyre wondered how she never even noticed it until now. That's where the book was. But she needed to make sure.
Why can't they just ask the dude?
You'll see.
Oh.
So that night at dinner, Feyre asked Tarquin to walk her into town tomorrow. Perhaps we can go in the morning when the tide is out. There's a tiny little building along the way that looked fascinating. The whole table goes silent. Tarquin glances at Cressida, and that was all the confirmation Feyre needed. It's just an old temple ruin. Old mud, seaweed, not pleasant. We should have it repaired soon enough. Tarquin holds Feyre's eyes for a moment too long, and she knows he's suspecting her. So she starts going into his shield. He has a mental shield up because they're all trained. You know, the High Lords, they're trained for Daemati, which are people who can go into your minds. But she uses the essence of himself She breaks down his shield and starts glancing at his thoughts. Why would she ask about the old temple ruins of all things? Why are they here? Why would they want to come so badly? They never visit. And the treasures. She kept asking about the treasures. Feyre started using his own essence, his own voice to wash his thoughts out. She's harmless, kind, sad and broken, but kind.
I mean, at this rate, Feyre can just do whatever the hell she wants.
Yeah, at this rate...
Like, at this rate, all 7 of them are just her puppets, and she can just, like, control the whole land, no?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah. Mm-hmm. She's broken, but kind. You saw her with your people, how she treated them, how she treated you. Amarantha never broke that kindness. Take her to the manland, she will stop asking about the temple. She is your friend. After planting those thoughts, Feyre left his mind, and Tarquin smiled a genuine smile. We'll meet after breakfast, and I'll take you into town. That night, Rhysand is waiting for her in her room. It takes most Demadi years to master that. You did it very quickly, clever girl. He's never going to forgive me for it. He will never know. If I hadn't been able to do that, I would have ruined our plan, blown my cover. Amren joined them in Feyre's room, and they sketched out a game plan to get into the tower. I mean, it's probably not capable of being winnowed into because, of course, they would spell it. And there's so much land around, so many residents nearby. There's guards. I'm sure there's trigger points and all of that. The plan was to get in the old-fashioned way. Worst case, if it's a blood spell, they would have to hope that Feyre could shapeshift and use the essence of Tarquin to get into that building and get that book. And they would strike tomorrow night. Rhysand winnowed them to the water nearby. He was going to be flying ahead to take care of any guards near the tower. Amren and Feyre would go in. They were layers of mud deep. They were able to get through the main door with the essence of Tarquin. They get inside, but the water levels are rapidly rising. They had to go faster. They dug and dug and dug, and they have to get into the chamber below. So they're going down these stairs. The water is up to their neck, and there's this door at the very bottom. She closes her eyes, puts her hands up against it. I am Tarquin. I am summer. I am warmth. I am sea. I am planted field. I am sky. She could smell the saltiness in the air. She could feel her eyes burn blue. I am your master. Let me pass. And the door opens, and there is not a single drop of water in here. It is an empty room with a pedestal and a small lead box on top. So lead, I think, nullifies their powers, or the lead is laced with something that nullifies their powers. Because Amren's looking around, she sees no trigger points, no magic, nothing. They reach for the box is heavy, it won't let them pick it up. And it keeps whispering, "Who are you?" Feyre tells the box she's summer, sea, green, sun. I am Tarquin, your high lord. I am your master. And with that, the voice quiets down, and Feyre is able to pick up the box. But then it hisses, "Liar." And the door slams shut, and Amren is slamming at the door, like blood against her hand, because there's something on that door that's not good for Faye. And finally, the door swings open, and water starts flooding in, sweeping both of them off their feet. They're holding onto the box with everything they have. They now have to swim up towards the top door. I mean, the water is getting deeper and deeper, and they're about to be sealed in. The door won't even open at the top. There's no way out of this. None of their powers are working in here. They get to the top. Amren tries with all of her strength to open that door, but it's not working. They're gonna die in here. They get submerged in the water. Feyre gives one last push, and the door opens, but not by her powers. In come...
the summer. No. Lord of Summer. Spiny, oily, slick hands that reach out, drag them out. They're brought to the water's surface, where she feels herself being punched in the stomach over and over again until she coughs up all the water, and she's looking into eyes that are all black. There's 5 of them there. Huh? Our sister's debt is paid. And they swim off. The water rates! The water freaking way! So when they get back to shore, Rhysand is looking at them confused. And what are you two doing? What the hell are you doing? You two set off every damn trigger in this place. I was hunting down every single guard that went to sound the alarm. I thought you two had it covered down there. The place was... It was
The fucking place. I mean, I don't know what it was. It nullified my powers. I don't know if it's the damn book. Something. We almost drowned.
I didn't feel that through the bond.
Yeah, well, that was probably nullified too, you stupid bastard. Amren is ballsy, okay?
Did you get it?
Feyre touches inside of her jacket.
Yes. Rhysand reaches out and they winnow back home and they land wet and soggy on the House of Wind floor where Cassian, Az, and Mor stand up. What the hell is going on?
Amren demands to know what the happened. Who are those people?
Feyre caught her breath and told them the story of the Tith and the water right that she saved, and Amren starts busting out laughing. And she's like, what is so funny, Amren? Only an immortal with a mortal heart would have given one of those horrible, disgusting creatures their jewels. Whatever luck you live by, Feyre, thank the cauldron. And Feyre felt one little side of her lip twitch. And then a chuckle comes out. And that chuckle turns into full-blown laughter, probably fueled by hysteria from almost dying. And her and Amren are literally soaking wet on the floor, laughing their asses off. And everyone is just staring at them.
Like they're so happy that they got it?
No, I think it's just like, what the f***?
Oh.
So when they're done, Feyre places the book on the table, and the book purrs. Hello, liar. Hello. Will you read me? Okay, I can't keep doing this. Will you read me? No. Open. Say please. Please. Curse breaker. And it's like
what? What'd you say?
Curse breaker. And it like whispers everywhere. And then it opened and everyone stares. That voice was bone chilling. And the book wasn't even paper. Half the book is in there and it's dark metal plates bound together with rings of gold, silver, bronze, and it's heavy and written in words nobody could read. Only Amren could. Her face was pale. What language is that? Amren froze. It is not a language of this world. It's the holy tongue. Amren looks at Rhysand. It clicked why he wanted her to go. He spoke. I heard a legend that it was written in the tongue of mighty beings that feared the cauldrons. They made the book to combat the powers of the cauldron. You are the only one, Amren, that can uncode it. And Rhysand smiled at her, and everyone understood. For Amren, it wasn't just about the war. This book could free her. It could bring her back to her kind. She had spent 10,000 years in a Fey body without them. Her eyes were blazing bright, and she looked at Rhysand and said, "Thank you." Amren took the book to wherever she lives to try and work on decoding it, and Feyre is exhausted. The next morning, she just wants some sun, so she finds herself going upstairs to the roof where Rhysand is drinking, and he looks depressed, which is crazy because we just got half the book, you know what I mean? And next to him is a box. What is that? I thought long and hard while I was there, you know, about whether I should just ask Tarquin for the book. But then I thought about what if he said no? And even if he had said yes, too many people would be involved in our plan, and if Hybern find out before we accomplished it, it would have been late. I didn't like what we did there. I truly did think that he wanted an alliance, maybe even a friendship. No other High Lord has ever bothered or even dared, but Tarquin did. What's in the box? Go ahead, open it. She opened the box, and there were 3 blood-red rubies the size of chicken eggs. Beautiful. Blood rubies. Summer Court. If you commit a grievance that Summer Court does not like, if you betray them, you get sent a blood ruby. That is an official declaration that there is a bounty on your head, and they want you dead.
Oh, Summer Court sent 3 of those?
1 for Rhysand, Amren, and Feyre.
Okay, like they're not scared.
Yeah. Feuds like this can last centuries. I'll pay the price for stopping Hybern, but I messed up. Rhysand is not saying that he's scared. He's just saying he's sad because he really liked Tarquin. And Feyre says, if we get through this, Tarquin will forgive us. He will know what we gave to nullify the cauldron and stop the war. Feyre tried to joke because
Rhysand looked like he's really down in the dumps. He's never looked like this before. She said she might just go shopping today to celebrate. She saw this very sexy lingerie shop at Valeris that she could look for things. She honestly just wanted to get him out of his funk because she's never seen him not banter with her, not annoy her, not do these things. And this time he just seemed genuinely just so sad. I'm not in the mood, Feyre. Maybe you should have slept with Cressida after all. You guys could both be sad and lonely together. So what? You're allowed to have as many bad days as you want and I can't have a few hours? Be my guest, Rhysand. Take as long as you want. Maybe I will go over to that shop and send a few lacy things to Tarquin and see if he still wants those red rubies out on our heads. He would take that as an instigation, Feyre. I bet he would have just handed over the book if he saw me in lacy undergarments. Someone thinks very highly of herself. And why shouldn't I? You seem to have a hard time not staring at me.
What?
It's a lot. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot. Am I supposed to deny that I find you attractive? And there it was. She's pulling him out of his funk. His eyes are switching from being hopeless and depressed to something predatory. That's what the book says.
Just like that?
Just like that. And he says, why don't we go down to the store right now? You can try on a few lacy little things and I can help you pick out which ones to send to our friend Tarquin. Before Feyre could even respond, Az flies in to the roof and Feyre sneaks away to give them their own personal space. But as she's walking down the stairs, she's getting lost in her thoughts. She could picture it. She would have gone to that lacy shop with him, okay? She could picture it. The ladies would all have been polite when the High Lord walks in with Feyre, and Rhysand would tell them to take the day off. And they would smile and avoid eye contact as they shuffle out, and the two would have privacy, and he would sit on the couch while she's trying on the lacy undergarments, and then he would tell her to come sit. She would stand in front of him and then his hand would and then she walked straight into a staircase railing and she shook her head and realized her shield was down and that asshole was in her mind. Giving her this vision. Okay, so she stared at the eye tattoo on her palm and whispered asshole. And later that day, Mor kept asking Feyre, why are you pissed every time Rhysand is around? And so Feyre tells her everything that happened that day. And she's got wine coming out of her nostrils. Mor is finding this hilarious. Don't be embarrassed. You should be proud. When he's in that state, there is nothing we can do to get him out. Feyre did feel a twinge of pride, but she rolled her eyes and excused herself to bed. She tried to forget and fall asleep, but the house shook awake. Her room was pitch black. Not a star in the sky. The moonlight was gone. It was like a strike of thunder was hitting the house. The whole house shook, and she could almost feel it in her stomach. Feyre jumped towards the window. Nobody was there. No storm. And then she opened the hallway door, and it was filled with darkness, like dead black darkness. She kept following this pull. She felt a pull, and she kept following until she reached a door, and she fumbled with the handle, and it swung open, and she can't see anything inside. And she keeps kind of following this thread until she bumps into a bed. Rhysand. And she starts reaching on the bed, trying to feel for him. And she keeps saying, Rhysand, Rhysand, but he's not waking up. And she finally touches a rock hard bod, literally. And she tries to shake him awake, but his skin is freezing cold. And in a quick motion, she slaps him and he doesn't move. So she tries to punch him because he's clearly having a nightmare. The more she punched, the more I guess it was triggering something in him. So in one swift motion, he flips her on her back on the bed and she's unable to move. And his hand is on her throat. And she's trying to breathe, trying to get him to stop, but the darkness is taking over. The room is pitch black. It was a dream. It's a dream. I'm Feyre. It's Feyre. It wasn't working. She had to do something else. So she willed darkness to come out of her to shield her from his, until finally she saw all the darkness absorb back into his body and moonlight poured in, and she looked around his room and it was huge. His bed was big enough to fit his wings.
Come on, what's huge? Like, you can't say that.
No, sorry. But it wasn't big enough to feel like too much, you know? It felt like home. Anyway, Feyre looked up and down Rhysand's body and he was utterly naked on top of her. And he's like, Feyre, yeah, you were having a nightmare. Feyre tried everything to not, but like, come on. She peeked down there. Okay, she peeked. And on both of his knees were tattoos. They were mountains crowned by 3 stars on both knees.
Oh, that's what she was looking at. The knees. Okay. Okay.
And it was beautiful, but it was terrifying. It was confusing. And he apologizes. Is that why you sleep here and not at the house with everyone else? You don't want them to see this? I normally keep it contained to my room. How often do you have nightmares? As often as you do? And what was it about tonight? Memories from under the mountain that are best left unshared, even with you. Feyre put her hand on his elbow. When you want to talk, let me know. I won't tell anyone about it. Thank you. And she took one last look at him, and he just looked utterly exhausted. And this was something that he would never dare show a single person this side of him, not even his inner circle. And for some reason, her heart ached, and she leaned forward and kissed his cheek, slid off the bed, and then turned around once more before she left. And the sight of him was something. He was kneeling on the bed, his wings were drooping, and he just looked like a dark fallen prince. And in that moment, for the first time since Under the Mountain, Feyre wanted to paint him.
A what?
Feyre wanted to paint. She wanted to paint him.
Ay, 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 ay.
So the next morning, there was a note on Feyre's bedside. Ooh, and it said, "Thank you for last night." So Feyre fumbled to find a pen and she wrote, "What do the tattooed stars and mountains on your knees mean? That I will bow before no one and nothing but my crown." And she wrote back, "So dramatic." And for weeks, everyone just waits for Amren to decode the book and wait for the mortal queens to respond for their request to meet. Feyre's busy training with Cassian, then Rhysand, and with each lesson, Rhysand is teaching her about the history of each court and their high lords. He said knowing their history was as important as learning what powers they gave her. High Lord of Autumn, cruel and vain. High Lord of Winter, quiet and smart. High Lord of Day, cunning. All the day court, cunning, cunning, cunning people. And then it came, the letter. The mortal queens with the other half of the book were willing to meet with them at Feyre's family home. It was time to go see Nesta and Elaine, and this time more was coming. And let me tell you, the mortal queens were a mixture of bitchies, like just bitchiness, honestly. So the oldest queen, probably 60, she's wearing a blue dress. Her eyes were cold and unforgiving. There were scowl lines just permanently embedded into the curvatures of her face. 2 beneath her were total opposites, both middle-aged. They looked graceful, one smiling and the other one was perpetually frowning. And then the 2 youngest.
How many queens are there?
There's a total of 6, but only 5 came.
Oh, so there's queens for different countries.
Yes. Mm-hmm. These are all the mortal queens.
I see.
Yes, all the human queens. And one was a few years older than Feyre, black hair. She seemed careful, cunning. She was quiet. But the final queen, the most beautiful, she was young, golden hair, amber eyes. She was alluring. The way that she moved, the way that she talked, Feyre said it looked like a lion in a woman's body. They winnowed into Nesta and Elaine's home with the guards. Winnowed. Apparently, the royal families, whoever was the king or queen of each court in the human world, they were granted certain powers by Fae after the war. So just like how they were given nice castles, they were given the power to winnow, even though they're not immortal, by the way. They just have like special gifts here and there. I don't know if it's channeled by a ring or like something, if it's a talisman or if it's they themselves. But just to be clear, they are not Fae. They are humans, but like just upgraded models, software, updated humans. So they all gather in the living rooms with the Mortal Queen's guards studying the Fae. Cassian and Az are studying the queens, and the Lion Queen stares at the crown on Feyre's head. A human turned High Fae, who's now standing beside a High Lord at a place of honor. Interesting. Feyre kept her shoulders high. The eldest, meanest-looking queen intercepted the conversation. "You have an hour of our time, so make it count." Moore asked, "How is it that you can winnow?" "It's our secret, and a gift from your kind." Feyre leans forward in her chair to show a sense of urgency. "War is coming. We called you here to warn you." "The war, we know. We know the war is coming. We've been preparing for many years for it." The humans in this territory seem unaware that war is coming. The Golden Queen, who is also kind of a bitch, this territory is a sliver of land compared to what we rule. It is not in our best interest to waste all of our time defending it. It would not be strategic. It was Rhysand who snapped. Surely the loss of one innocent life would be abhorrent. Yes, to lose a life is always abhorrent, but war is war. People will die. It is inevitable. If we must give up this sliver of land and its people to save the majority, it is a choice that we will make with heavy hearts. These are people we're talking about. Good people. The Golden Queen smiled, a sick, twisted smile, okay? It's like dripping with fake honey. Then let the High Fae of Prynthian defend them, if you care so much. Everyone in the room seemed taken aback and shocked at the just vileness of the mortal queens, including Nesta, who was learning firsthand that, yeah, sure, Fae can be evil, but so can humans. And she snapped at the queens. That is a choice made by cowards. Rhysand butted in. Neither side is innocent, but we must protect the people here, together. The evil queen scoffed and almost spat out her tea. Ah, yes, the High Lord of the Night Court wants to join hands with us, to save lives with him, to fight for peace. How about the lives you've taken, High Lord? When you decide to shatter minds for enjoyment, the High Lord that walks with darkness. Oh, yes, we've heard of you. Even on our continents of mortal lands, Rhysand, we know what you do. We've heard of what your court does to enemies. For a High Lord that melts minds for sport and for fun, I didn't think you would even know the word peace. Feyre felt fire in her ears. If you are unwilling to send forces here to fight, then at least give us the artifact that we requested. The half of the book, child, does not leave our sacred palace. It has not since the day it was gifted to us, the day of the treaty. It will never leave our castle. Please, I stood up against Amarantha, and I was turned into Fae, and it's gonna happen again. And that was just one evil queen. Imagine what an army of Amaranthas are gonna do, not just to Fae, but to humans in your lands. The king of Hybern wants to destroy the wall and destroy all of you. The war will be brutal. Just give us the other half of the book. You are a young child. You have much to learn about the world. Rhysand went still. Do not condescend her.
Okay.
Do not insult Feyre for speaking with heart, with compassion for humans, when you speak from selfishness and cowardice. The book will remain with us. We will weather the storm. More butts in. Enough. I fought the war before the treaty. I fought side by side with Miriam to fight to free the human slaves. Your ancestors, the queens who signed the treaty, they were my friends. And when I look at you, I see nothing of those women in you. When I look at you, I know that your ancestors would be ashamed. You laugh at peace. Then give us the proof. Give us proof that you are not the High Lord that we have heard about. Give us one shred of proof that you are a High Lord that cares for peace. Feyre's heart dropped. Rhysand stood up. You desire proof? I shall get it. Await my word and return when we summon you. We are summoned by no one, human or fae. Then come at your leisure. Perhaps you'll finally see that we're on the same side. We will consider when we have proof. And with that, the guards approached them and they winnowed away. The Night Court winnowed back home to discuss how to show them proof. Feyre didn't even want to. I mean, everything in her gut was telling her, no, these people are evil. These people are disgusting. They thought about killing the queens and replacing them with new queens that they could control and the book could be gifted to them, but that would take too long. They thought about sneaking into the castle, but like we mentioned before, it's a mortal queen castle, but it's made by Fae to keep out the Fae. It's a death wish to go in there. And Feyre goes, wait, who is Miriam that you talked about more? You guys kept bringing her up. Miriam was half Fae, half female, born of a human mother. Her mother was a slave to the Fae. She was entrapped, born in shackles. Miriam was given as a wedding gift by the queen to her betrothed, to her future husband, a foreign Fae prince named Drakon. He was horrified of a half-human, half-Fae, and the fact that Miriam was enslaved. He was so horrified he let her escape. She was then found by Jurian, who she fell in love with, became his lover, and she helped heal warriors with her Fey powers on the front lines. But then Jurian allied with Prince Drakon, and they allied with the human armies. Jurian had no idea that Prince Drakon had been looking for that enslaved girl for the past 3 years, Miriam. He was pining for his lover. Jurian was too focused on the war to realize that Miriam and the prince were falling in love behind his back. Amren interrupted. Long story short, when Jurian was slaughtered by Amarantha, she told him what happened, that Miriam had betrayed Jurian for a Fey male. Everyone believes Miriam and Drakon died in the war. Even Amarantha believes that. But they didn't die. So why not show that to the queens? Because that would be a betrayal to our friends whose only wishes are to stay hidden and live in peace with their people. Cassian looked reserved. Drakon's armies are as good as ours. We might need... And Rhys shook his head. That was that. Miriam and Drakon, out of the question. So then what? If we can't show them, what can we show them? Rhys looked bleak. We show them Valeris. But we will not take them. We have other ways. More, call your father. We're going to pay our other court a visit. Feyre felt terrified. For the first time, she was going to the court of nightmares. They were going under the mountain, the real one, the one that Amarantha had replicated in her courts. The court so terrifying, the court of nightmares so terrifying that nobody made it out alive or without their brains being scrambled. And Feyre was now going to show up on the High Lord's arm. What game was he going to play with them now? And this is where I leave you with part 2. Okay, the next part will be up probably in like a week or so. Okay, I'm sorry, it's like a 700-page book, and I can't keep you here for 6 hours, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess I could, right? That would be crazy. That would take me years to upload. But let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? Or were you giddy? Were you kicking your feet in the air? Were you twirling your hair? Let me know. My voice is leaving me, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.